Stop my video. I think I'm coming through now. Okay. Sorry, everybody, for the horrible issues. I don't know what it was, but I had it working before, and I came on to download a few videos and do a little prep, and then suddenly it stopped working, and yeah, I think it was because I messed with the camera, but I don't even have a camera plugged in at the moment, so I don't know. But I'm glad I could fix that quickly enough. Good morning, everybody. I'll be professional one of these days and figure this out and not mess the whole thing up consistently each time. Might even have some video and some, like, audio to go with it. But I won't be incompetent forever. So thanks for sticking around and putting up with my idiocy. Anyways, welcome to the the golden potato hour, or however many hours. Maybe I need to add somebody else as a team member on the back end so that if I screw this up, somebody else can help me fix stuff. Yeah, pretty much, Gutter. I broke what wasn't fixed, or I fixed what wasn't broken. Exactly. I broke what was working. Yeah, that. No, I was trying to download some of the videos from that plane crash because that was insane. Um, Not the one you guys were talking about yesterday, but the one up in Philly. Some of that video is just crazy. Then I was like, let me be ambitious and try and find some like royalty-free background music to play. And then I uploaded that, and then everything stopped working when I uploaded that. So, not gonna play with royalty-free music anymore. Um, the link is pinned. Here, let me bring in Crazy B if you're there, instead of keeping you sitting in the background.
I think I am.
Welcome. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, I had been trying to mess with the whole like
I'm trying to see if I can hear you without the live polling.
uh you should be able to. I mean, I
I
can
can't hear you in the studio.
in the studio. You
I
can't hear
can't hear
me.
you. I have to have the studio running in the.
So you need to change your audio output in the studio to be the correct audio output. I had that issue when I started it up last week for the first time. Um, it's under the
How?
under your mic setting. You click the little arrow, and then there's an audio output. Yeah, I'll take a little screenshot.
Oh,
Assume.
hold on. Sorry, there's a delay.
No, no, you're good. Clearly, I'm not the only one that's struggling with tech today. I sent your screen.
Okay.
Looking at
Oh,
be able to fix that.
now I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Now that we all worked that out, yeah. If anybody else wants to join, I linked the link at the top. Can add more people as you all join in. I figured I'd show off some of these videos, not like from a kind of disaster porn standpoint, but just from a man, that was crazy standpoint of this crash in Philly real quick. And then talk about my AI stuff, and then can see where things go. So I'm just adding them back in. So yeah, this was insane. And what was crazy to me was that this crash, like, you see this plane. This was this medical plane. It was small engine. It is coming down at like a 45-degree angle. This is someone's uh, porch cam.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, right into the ground. I mean, it was craziness.
I heard people saying it looked more like a missile than it did an airplane.
Well, the angle that it was coming at, I mean, I can see why people thought that. Here, I can hit play one more time on this video, but I don't know if I can slow it down in here. I might have to slow it down before I like upload it, but you can see it just coming right in at a 45-degree angle.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insane. And then this was the video. I think of the dash cam. This is a video of somebody nearby on their dash cam of the explosion.
Yep.
Oh, move! Michael, move! Move! We can't reply.
Yeah, that's just crazy. And then this is that other video that was going around of the dash cam of somebody driving in front of them, and you can see the plane just nosediving. I was reading it was going like 240 knots, which is like 150 miles per hour on the ground, and it went in like a couple seconds from something like 11,000 feet into the ground.
Yeah, it was 30 seconds after takeoff, too.
Yep. There was a pilot, a co-pilot, a medical team, and a patient and a family member of the patient.
6-year-old patient is what I saw this morning. She was like 6.
And then I have this other video that I found this morning of the whole area afterwards. This morning.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's made it a weird ratio on the video. Here, maybe I need to do it like that and fix it.
Yeah.
Let me fix the ratio, but I swear it's the real video. It just looks funky because it's all compressed weirdly. Yeah. And that must be like where it actually hit right there in the crater.
Yeah, but everything just literally. There was debris
Exploded.
found like a half mile away, wasn't it? Or close to a mile?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I'm supposed to be going to visit friends in June and then go to Israel to visit family in the winter, like, or at the end of the summer. Like, I don't know. I'm a little scared about these airplanes.
Yeah. I would be too.
They're scaring me. And then here, Gutter, let me download this real quick, which you just sent me. But this is the tower audio, and I'll re-upload it. But you can keep talking. Sorry, I just.
Oh no! I was thinking, is this that one that you They had one going around on X where like the last comment made was they're fucking with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sent that to a friend of mine who's a pilot, and he has been scratching his head about that.
I'm uploading that real quick here. But yeah, this is thanks, Gutter. I'd seen that, I just didn't download it.
Med Service 056, Northeast Tower.
I don't think I can make it any louder, but it's right there. You're fucking with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
0908 Foxtrot, Northeast Ground, Roger. Stand by one. I'll get back to you when I can.
But yeah, no, it's just look. I'm not sitting here, arguing malice in any kind whatsoever. Look, in the 70s, what is it? We had a lot of just mishaps because people were not being responsible.
Mm-hmm.
I think that even if it's not necessarily like, oh, there was a DEI pilot and there was a DEI mechanic, there are so many things that come down the pipe when you don't take things seriously and you don't treat merit and job quality and effectiveness as the metrics in which you put people into positions, and instead you push ulterior things. That's where you end up with, okay, it might not be that the individual pilot is a problem, but that the mechanic or somebody far up, and then you're leading to downstream effects.
Yeah.
Welcome, Gutter.
Morning.
How are you? How's the West Coast?
Well, it's still kicking.
All right, you guys haven't fallen off into the ocean yet?
No, I think we're supposed to get snow tonight, so we'll see if we can freeze to death here for the next few days.
Well, I get a nice 70 degrees Fahrenheit today.
Oh, goodness, I wish.
But yeah, and I know Crazy Bee was talking about, so this kind of goes with like the AI stuff I was talking about. And here comes Mouse. Let me add her in. Welcome, Mouse. Get you with the fancy camera thing.
Hey.
I was trying to do the fancy camera thing, but then I ended up with the OBS thing on top of the Baxter picture.
Tell us
So
how to do it again.
shutting off the camera and like doing the virtual camera thing was what messed up my audio. So I'm just gonna have to be the little circle.
That's okay.
It'll be what it's gonna be. I'm just gonna be a little circle
It
potato.
won't be okay. I want to know how to fix it. Oh, settings. I remember.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brent wants the OBS picture back. Okay, I'll bring back the OBS back. I'm sorry. And we don't want Baxter. We just want the OBS. Okay, there you go. OBS picture. Does that make you happy, Brent?
Now I'm jealous because you just told me you're another one of these out here that do OBS and I don't know how to do it. Now I'm mad.
No, I'm not. It was working with the virtual camera the other day, but now for whatever reason, like I say, when I have it do the virtual camera thing, it's putting it on top of Baxter instead of.
It's just letting us know that it is filtering Baxter's wrinkles. We get it.
That's the sweetest part of him.
Use Animaze. Use Animaze. That's what I use. And as you can see, it's only a little logo in the corner. It's a software you can download. If you have an older computer, it'll bog down your CPU. But for the most part, it's a really good program. And if you want to, it moves with you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was joking around that I would make a rig of Baxter and then wear his face.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. By the way.
But yeah, so I know you were talking on your stream yesterday on your podcast. Crazy Bee does a podcast. What do you call it? Questions that need answers.
Yep.
So yeah, if anybody has questions that need answers,
They
don't give any answers. They just ask a lot of questions, and I troll in the chat. It's a lot of fun. But if you have questions, you might be able to find some answers.
I try to give solutions more than answers.
I know you were trying to get me kicked out of Discords yesterday.
Hey, it's worth the try.
Yeah, but yeah. So you were talking a little bit about how like you have concerns about people offloading their ideas and their work to AI, and how that could be seriously dangerous. And so it's just ironic, that I was planning on talking about AI some today, and I got interested because I think a lot of people don't really understand what these AI models like ChatGPT and OpenAI and ChatGPT is by OpenAI and this new one from China, the DeepSeek, and a bunch of others that have since popped up. I don't think people really understand what they are, and I think there's a lot of fear mongering going around. And so I was like looking up some quotes from people, and I had found this article, and I'll post like I did the other day when I talked about stuff when we finish up these articles and videos and stuff in the description box. So if there's anybody on the replay side or on the or here, I'll upload it before we finish up, so you can pull up all that stuff. But essentially, I think people think of AI as the equivalent of intelligence of humans, and the reality is what these things are is they are language models. So what they did, and it's very amusing to me that OpenAI is all worked up about DeepSeek, because DeepSeek improved upon their model by using their output data, is what it seems. And so they're very upset that their data was stolen. But the way that they trained their AI initially by OpenAI for ChatGPT was to steal all of our data off the internet just wholeheartedly.
Right.
That's smart.
Yeah, and then to copyright and make people pay for it. So the way that these AI systems work is they have to be trained. They can't just think on their own. They have to be taught how to think. And so what something like ChatGPT is doing is it just analyzed millions and millions of text prompts and text throughout the internet that they could, get a hold of. And they ultimately just went and taught the AI to put words in places that it thought based on how common those words were. And so, like, anytime you use an image AI generator, a video AI generator, or even these word AI generators, like the Chat GPTs and stuff, what it's doing is you can tell it how closely you want it to stick to the like how tolerant you want it to be with its ideas. And so, you know, if a normal sentence is, you know, Arby went to the store and bought something for Baxter or whatever, you know, you can tell it to be less specific, and it might be, you know, like Arby went to somewhere else and got something for Baxter. He heard his name, so now he needs to be, you know, placated by giving treats. Baxter, you're gonna put me in the poorhouse by giving you all these treats. We're gonna have to make this streaming thing successful so we can make money for you. It's like, I don't care as long as you have treats to give me.
How come Baxter has a, I don't know, Audi symbol in the middle of his forehead?
Because it's OBS, and OBS virtual.
Because he is the OBS god. Thank you, thank you, Baxter.
And
Poor Baxter.
I
Gonna
need
wear
to,
metal.
I think I would need to turn my camera back on and like cover it like you guys were, since the virtual camera thing is not working.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
think you're right.
Oh.
Yep.
But you know what? We can get a different Baxter here, because like, who wants to look at you guys? And we can just overlay Baxter. There you go. Everybody just look at Baxter. Who cares?
There we go.
Look at that face.
Um,
I can hear him snort from here.
yeah, he does that. But yeah, so this AI stuff, it's not thinking for itself. It's just mimicking what humans can do.
Well, it's not
Yep.
yet.
Yeah.
This is developing as it goes. I'm thinking 10, 15, 20 years in the future. What are we going to be facing down?
and
I don't think it'll be that
it-
long.
I think people are more optimistic. Like what it can do, just like here, I have a graph that I pulled up. Do I need to? Yeah, probably need to screen
I
share.
think my biggest question is, will AI know the difference between fact and fiction if everybody's allowed to unload their thoughts into it? You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. It
Not
doesn't
gonna- we
know.
already
It doesn't know anything. It really doesn't. All it knows is to put the next word. And so these are the benchmarks that they these are the benchmarks that they you know, are testing these AIs at. And so they're talking about how well it can recognize handwritten language versus speech recognition versus, you know, image recognition and whatnot. And what it has to do, Baxter, I'm not giving you any more right now. Or write code, but what it's doing is it's taking stuff that's already been created by humans, and it's mimicking it. AI is on some level essentially like a calculator that can put in its own inputs, but it's not going to come up. It doesn't come up with its own equations. It comes up with solutions based on pre-existing information. So that's, you know, why OpenAI is all pissed off about this
DeepSeek.
the DeepSeek. Yeah, I keep forgetting names, but DeepSeek, because they're like, well, you took our outputs to train your AI that is a little less tolerant, and instead of looking at individual words, what that AI does, from what I was reading, is it looks at groups of words to try and save data. And then, you know, China claimed that they did it for $5 million, which is not true. It was probably more like
Bullcrap.
$1 billion. Yeah,
I
there's
think
some
that
new
it starts out. I think you're right. I think right now, I think it's like a toddler, and
Mhm.
eventually it's going to get to the teenage years where it thinks it knows everything, and it thinks it knows more than you do. And I think that's when we're going to find big trouble. That's my problem with it. Is I think eventually it will think it knows better than we do.
Well, maybe, I don't know, but you know, when we first came out with technology in the 1800s, in the 1800s, 83% of the workforce was in agricultural work. in the United
Mhm.
States. And then you came out with technologies that were for mechanized farming. And today you're talking about 1.2% of the population works in farm work. And you have all these people who are crying about, oh, who's going to pick our foods when, they get rid of the illegals or whatever. Well, the reality is most of the food picking and whatnot that
Yeah.
can be automated is being done by machines, not by people.
Yep.
And so I think what you're going to see is that even right now, if you go into ChatGPT and you ask it to write you a essay of some kind on a topic and you feed it the topics, it will write an essay that a lot of people can't necessarily tell the difference between that and a human writing it. And that's the markers that they are comparing things on, and they're going, well, people can't necessarily tell the difference between these essays that are written and these written by humans or by AI and know which was which. I don't think, so it used to be that and I see this in medicine, that you need to know how to write your notes, and you need to know how to if you're a lawyer, how to write a contract. Good morning, AV.
On the Navy.
Hey, AV. I've been
You
trying to
need-
get a hold to you.
He had to sleep in.
Yeah, I think you did.
Look, sometimes you're up late, you're having a wild party or whatever, you listen to too much music, you need a morning. But yeah, so look, right now you have these, and you had this in law. Like my dad's talked to me about this, how it used to be, as a lawyer, you had to do tons of research, you had to do it in books, you had to go to libraries, you had to know how to use catalog searches, and you had to know how to pull books and review them and make photocopies. And now it's all on a website, and you go in and you search in keywords, and you can find so much more information so much easier than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in all of these industries, what you're going to see is, instead of you needing to hire some lawyer to write up a contract for you, you might need a lawyer to review it and make sure it's legit or whatnot. But a lot of this stuff can be offloaded to AI to do, and it'll do it better. And I don't think that that's going to necessarily put people out of work. We're going to see different, types of work occurring.
It's going to turn our brains to mush. That's what it's going to do. That right there is exactly what is going. That right there is it in a bunch. That you just said it in a. You put a nice little bow on it. We are going to turn to mush because our brains aren't going to have to do anything. We're going to push a button and it's going to give it to us.
Well, no,
I don't think it's a good idea at all.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying is, like, the rote work, that's going to go away. But the creative work, that's what's going to matter. This is the problem. This is why we think of intelligence, and we look at intelligence as people being able to spit back a lot of information and retain it. And that's an old way of approaching information. It's an old way of thinking. At this point, what you need to do to be able to succeed, and I bet you if AV were up here, he'd be agreeing with me. But what you need to be able to do is be creative. Like he talks about being a leader and things like that. You're not going to be able to succeed just because you can remember a bunch of dates and you can, cram a bunch of information into your head. You're going to be able to succeed because you're going to be able to create something that you can teach the AI how to do. I've messed with AI art.
But the button's not always going to be there. What about when the button goes away? What about when we don't have something that you can turn on and it tells you what to do? Then we have to think of that shit on our own, and we're going to spend years not doing that, and then all of a sudden all this shit's going to go down and we ain't even going to know how to boil fucking water. I truly believe that's where we'll end up. Like, we will not know how to wipe our asses.
I'm quite confident there are a lot of things that you take for granted on a daily basis as basic that if you had to go do, you would not be able to know how to do. I was listening to somebody on a debate the other day, and they were talking about, paper. And this guy was like, oh, well, you make paper by, you take tree bark and you shave it really thin, and there is some kind of paper you can make from tree bark.
That's not the process, but okay.
Well, there is some kind of paper that was like made from trees instead of like papyrus back in ancient
Yeah.
times. And the point that he was making is that, you know, this guy was reading something from like a book or whatever, but he was not actually capable of doing the things that he was claiming. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that we take for granted now that we don't know how to do on an individual basis. But
I
that
have
is
a
farmed out
really
to
good one
huge
for
expanse.
you.
Yeah.
I have a great example. How many people actually know how to rebuild a carburetor?
There you go.
We don't
I
even
do.
have,
I
they
do.
don't even, cars don't even have those anymore. Now
Yes,
we're
they do.
fuel injected.
And-
Oh,
No,
yes.
they do.
Many
No,
cars still out there still go
yes,
on carburetor.
fuel
And the thing about it is what's the first thing you think of when she said that? How many of you know how to build a carburetor? Did you think, oh, I'm going to go to a book and look for it? No, the first thing you thought was, I'll just go to the Google and it'll tell me how to do it.
But what if you don't
No,
have
I went-
Google?
I went,
Exactly.
shit, I guess I'm going to be riding a bike.
Well, no, here's the thing. Like, I grew up, my dad raised me growing up working on cars where you could literally fix them with a screw and a wrench.
A nut and a
A
bolt.
screwdriver
That's
and a
what my
wrench.
husband says. A car is just a nut and a bolt.
Yes. But the thing is, now they've got cars so computerized.
Yeah.
If something happens to technology, we're all going to be going after those car
Yep.
collectors that have the cars from the 60s and 70s.
Yep. With
Mhm.
carburetors in them. Yep.
Look,
And I can rebuild, I can patch radiators. I can do all kinds of things in a car because that's how I was raised. How many people can can go outside and butcher a chicken? How many people know how to cut up their own meat?
Right.
You guys are taking it for granted that it's in a store. It's the same thing with all the other things that everyone's worried we're going to lose, but you guys aren't seeing what we've already lost.
Yeah, oh yeah, we've lost so much.
Yep. No, but that's why I
Right on
say,
the
like, to me, all of this AI is just a very advanced calculator that's good. And to steal from like a comment that I saw, they're basically saying, you know, they're saying like AI is a condensing tool. It doesn't provide new information. It takes what we already know and what it's been trained on and regurgitates it in a more coherent form.
I
So
agree.
it saves you time when you're researching. It saves you time when you're writing, but it doesn't think for itself. And maybe there will be a time where we
Yeah.
reach the quote unquote singularity where it can think for itself and it can reproduce on its own. But I don't think we're at that point, and I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon.
Mhm.
I think we will. I think it's going to be sooner than you think. And I think it actually already does. Google something, it tells you what to think.
Well-
If you Google something, it gives you an AI explanation. And that's basically it telling you, well, this is what it is. This is, if you say the difference between Democrat and Republicans, it's going to give you its explanation. Not now, it grabs a bunch of information from the internet and puts that together, but that's all in what it's putting together, and nobody put that specifically in there and said, okay, say this if they ask this question. It's actually figuring out how to put that shit together and put it on the screen for you.
No,
So I
it's
think
not.
it's already doing that.
No, it's not.
I do
It's not.
believe
It's not
It's
doing it on its
collecting the
own.
information.
It's pulling. I've watched it do this, and I've done this by looking at a bunch of different. Like I did this with the image generating specifically, but you can do this with the chat generators also. But you can put the same prompts in all of them, and they give you very similar outputs because they're training on the same data sets. They're not.
But see,
Quote,
you just
unquote,
said it. You
thinking for
just said it.
itself.
See, it
They're
gives you
just
very similar.
amalgamating. They're just amalgamating what they see in the training that they're being given. What's more important, you know, and what AV just said is true. It can data poison itself. It can
Yeah.
create bad loops of information.
See,
So, for example,
that's what I was getting at.
I was
Really
I was
know the
looking, but this is where the human side of it has to come in, and you as a user can't just sit there and give up your independent thought to a piece of software. You have
Yep.
to still continue to think, and this is where I say critical thinking has to come first. And instead of training people just to go put in, you know, what does X, Y, and Z mean? Oh, it means this, this, and this, and then walking away with that information, what you have to do is you have to, you know, use it as a way to obtain the information and then think critically. And so this is why I say we've been built this school system, this education system that's all about memorizing information. That's all about memorize these dates in history. and memorize what these ideologies stand for and mean. Memorize what, you know, this person did that was good and this person did that was bad in history. You know, memorize what this means about how the cell works. But none of that memorization helps you think critically. None of it helps you come up with ideas. And so the people that will succeed in a society that is based on, you know, a set of systems that we have in place that are condensing boatloads of information and giving you something, is the people that can take that and think about it critically and use it in a way that will help to be more creative. So I don't ever look at, in fact, I don't use Google much at all because I don't like it as a search engine because of the things that you were pointing out, where it tries to take away your need to actually like think for yourself. But this is what I've been talking about for a while, where I've been raging about how people don't want to think. They just want to go watch a 30-second, 60-second, 90-second video, read a single post somewhere and think that they understand things. This is why it takes me months to get to, you know, something, because I have to read a lot of information and I have to do, and I'm not just handing that over to a AI to do. Yeah, sure, I went into like Grok or whatever and on Twitter and I asked it a bunch of questions about the Federal Reserve and got a few different answers, but I didn't just stop there. I then went to the sources that it was quoting and I looked at this stuff, and I have 3 books that I'm in the middle of reading on it. And so this is why I say it's a great, useful tool, but it is not useful as an end-all be-all. And if we rely on it to offload all of our thinking to make it an end-all be-all, then exactly what Gutter is saying is going to happen. We're going to just become, you know, the organic machinations of a AI system. But what you'll see is the people that raise kids that learn to ask questions, that learn to manipulate it, that learn to understand and to think critically, those are the people that will be the Ubermenschen or whatever, that will run societies where the rest of the plebs will be sitting around just, you know, eating their AI slop content and just trucking along. I mean, we saw this on some level with a lot of other technological advancements over the years, and that's what I was talking about with like the technological advancement of the agricultural stuff. If you want to run a potato farm and be successful and earn a living, you can't be, you know, growing potatoes by hand and relying on the great golden potato only. You have to use the human technology we've created to harvest mass potatoes. I had to use the potato analogy.
I get that. It was great.
But, you know, ultimately, if you're not learning to think critically for yourself and you're not really trying to make use of these as tools, yeah, sure, it's going to fall apart. But that shouldn't be where we stop.
And again, though, if you look at like the thing that I was pointing out in my video was that they want AI to run traffic control. And what comes to mind for me with that is all those CAPTCHAs that I called stupid and asswipe and asinine over the years. And it's going to decide, you know what, I don't like her. And it either bars me from flying or something. And it's the same thing if, because I know they're trying to incorporate AI into medicine. And what happens if we end up like Idiocracy, where it's all AI? And it remembers I called CapChat stupid and decides it's going to intentionally give me the wrong medicine. And again, yes, I get we're not there yet, but it is coming up fast at the point where they're either going to have to cut it off or keep it going. And if you look at the bias right now in AI when you do a Google search, I'm telling you, that scares me, the bias that I see in it. And I mean, if you search up what's a vaccine and the AI answer comes back, but you go to the CDC or the WHO or whichever website and find the actual definition before they changed it back in 2021, before they changed it. That's what got me in trouble on YouTube. again, I got the strike on YouTube because I legitimately read the CDC and the WHO's websites of definitions and the seriousness of a current disease, and I got hit with medical misinformation. And that's fine. I get it, but still, AI is going to give you what is the most commonly pushed on the internet, not what is accurate. And that's why I don't like the way AI is being developed, because it's going by with what is pushed the most.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I remember I think I was telling Crazy Bee about this at one point, but when I was looking at some trans stuff, there's a famous trans person from the like 50s
Mhm.
who has the same last name as Jeff Bezos's mother's side of his family. And the AI instantly tells me that, he was related, that they're related to each other.
They're
And
not.
I was not really paying a ton of attention and was kind of tired. And I just like, oh, interesting. And I posted it. And then, I gave it a second thought and I was like, should I really trust the AI on this one? Should I really trust the Google AI? And then I had to go look and I go, find the family trees and, different stuff. And it turns out they just happen to have similar names. And it's not even, it's like the name connection is Jeff Bezos's like sister's like, half sister or something like that. And then I had to come, I came back and I was like, look, I, screwed up. I just took Google's, answer for it. But really, I need to think through this more and, look into this stuff and not just take the easy answer. It ate a little bit of crow, even though it was just amongst a bunch of friends. But, you couldn't, but, people that just go and, take that easy answer, yeah, they're going to get fooled by it, but they're going to get lost in history because the people that are going to change the future and actually build things are going to be the people that continue to think critically and use these as tools as opposed to as their like new god or whatever.
But also look at AI if it gets used in schooling. And it's going to push the propaganda history. I mean, like, look at all the stuff I found about the Civil War that's completely and utterly inaccurate that they push in schools. So, if AI becomes a tool of our teachers, they're not going to go and double check that AI is right.
Eventually, there won't be any. They'll just have robots doing everything. There won't be human contact. I'm telling you. I mean, if vaccines and everything else don't point all this shit out, I don't know what else does. They're trying every way they can to take us out, whether it's with food, vaccines, you name it. And now they can do it with AI on top of it. It's so obvious what's going on. You'd have to be fucking retarded not to see it. And yes, you can say retarded now.
Yeah, I'm just, again, if we keep it as a tool to assist us, that's great. But when the second they turn it into running the whole program, that's when we're going to have the problems, like you're saying. But again, we have to regulate it as a tool.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mess with like the AI image generator stuff a whole bunch, and it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong.
It is horribly inaccurate sometimes. Oh my God.
It's how I made the like, overlays and stuff that I have here. Like this or whatever. Or this. But it's also, if you go and you start using text prompts, you'll find that there's a lot of consistency that you'll get the same sort of stuff. So, I like kind of sci-fi stuff, and I kept putting into all the different AIs the same sci-fi prompts, looking for similar type stuff, and it gave me the same crap from every single one. And after, putting a few hundred prompts into a few different AIs, it was very clear that if I really went back and tried to find it, I could get to a level of understanding of where it lifted the idea of what, AI spaceships that are, cyberpunk themed or whatever should be. There's a lot of obviousness to it. You can start to see the impractical nature of it, but people choose not to because they don't want to think. And this is what I keep coming back to is we've trained a society to not want to think and to not want to actually be critical. Here, let me add Cowboy on up.
They'll go for exactly what you're saying. I mean, they'll do exactly what you're saying.
Well, it's like my sister with her 4.0 GPA, lifelong university student. She's great at repeating what she's been told. I'm the kid who sat back and said, I'm looking at this critically. How did they come to this conclusion? Why does 2 plus 2 equal 4? How did they come to this conclusion? How did they get this math? That's the kind of person I was, which is why I also ended up with a higher IQ score than my sister. And that was held against me for years. My mom hated that shit. But when you sit there and question everything and you start digging and you start looking, you're going to be the valuable asset in the future. Not the person who sits there and repeats exactly what is supposed to be on the test and gets the 4.0 GPA.
I mean, people have made these analogies too with we can talk about objective truth in a bit, but people have made these same analogies with like the LGBT, stuff. Is that on some level, especially with the T stuff, it is taking away the ability for people to raise kids, and if you go enough generations out, if you can't indoctrinate people into sort of leftist mindsets, let's say in schools, then conservatives win out if conservatives have more kids. Now our society has shifted left over time, but going down a tangent. But I think it's similar to this, where like I was saying, people that don't teach their kids and don't enable their kids to become independent thinkers and use these tools as the tools they are, and treat them as if they are objective truth, as if they are, worth being reverent towards. Yeah, you might have a cult that comes out that becomes a religion of technology worshippers or whatever, but they'll be the backwards idiots who are not actually succeeding. And so it becomes incumbent upon a parent to teach a child how to be a critical thinker and how to be one of these better, humans that can actually succeed.
And that's if your child agrees. Look at my 2 kids. Arby, my son very well. Well, through speaking through me, because you've heard him in the background and stuff. You know what critical thinking he is. And my daughter is if the car's broke, just throw it away and get a new one person. You see that, like, you've met my kids. And again, you can teach your kids, but that doesn't mean your kids are going to do what you say.
Well, the other thing is you have the schools that are basically brainwashing them in that process. So you have to do double duty trying to make sure that they're not being brainwashed by the school.
My son fought back against it while he was in school, just like I did when I was in school. When my teachers tried telling me only Jewish people were victims of the Holocaust, and my grandfather served in World War II, and I knew better, my teacher and I went in circles for 2 freaking weeks because of it. The kids are capable of pushing back.
Nope. How could you say such a blasphemy thing? You're done. Goodbye.
I'm laughing my ass off over here.
I'm sorry, Kat. Why did we interrupt you?
Yeah, I like how when you go on Google that now you can't do a normal Google Earth. It automatically gives you an AI.
Mm-hmm.
And like it even help to about program AI is nowhere near where it needs to be. You put it out, make things like, but you've got big tech companies that are running the country, and yeah.
I think as much as we're not there quite yet, it's not going to take long to get there. If you look how quickly it's adapting and growing, and the more people use it, of course, the faster it's going to progress. And that's why it's incorporated into Google. That's why we have Copilot on our Windows programs. We have Siri on all of our Apple products. That's all AI. How many times do people sit there and say, "Hey Siri, what's the one? It used to be Cortana on Windows, and now they got Copilot." How many people have done that? Because it's like, even if it's just, "Hey Siri, add toilet paper to the grocery list," you're teaching AI. And again, everybody's starting to take that way out instead of just, writing it down on a piece of paper or
Look,
putting it in a note for yourself.
I can see kind of some parts of both sides of this stuff. So, take like AI generated music, for example. It's basing it off of pre-existing music. So,
Yeah.
It may reach a point where it can actually create music. You could feed it your like library of what you like, and it'll create things that, are similar to what you enjoy. But you're never going to have that moment of it creating something unique, or something that stands out. Yeah, sure, it might be able to mimic, what AV does in mashing together different, types of music and song, but it's not going to have that human component that we recognize.
Yeah.
And maybe it's getting better at that, but again, it's not going to be able to create new things. It'll just create copies or, mashed up copies of what it's been trained on. So, if you really like some sort of like, lo-fi, atmospheric music, and you pump in a bunch of that same lo-fi atmospheric music, it'll give you the same stuff. We'll just keep
I
giving
can
it to
tell
you.
the difference between AI music and real music. I can tell it in a heartbeat. It's so obvious.
Well, but that's why I say, like, yeah, maybe it's getting better, but it takes out that creative nature of it. And there's things that people do by accident when they're playing an instrument that, AI won't be able to come up with, other than it'll be able to mimic things that somebody puts in as an input.
Well, again, even if you look at most musicians as humans, yeah, we add our own little component to it, but we're basically just going off of something before. I mean, if you follow Christianity, according to the Bible, nothing on this planet is new. But it's like, even like, I used to play a lot of instruments in school, and there's very rare these days when there's actually something new created. We're just literally tweaking what we've already seen or heard before, or mashing them together. One of the things that I was asked in band class one time was, no, I wasn't asked. I was told that I could not teach myself flute. Eventually, I would have to have instructions. And I kind of looked at the director and I said, "Well, who tutored the inventor?" And again, I think humans are capable of inventing new stuff, but we're just too lazy. And we're busy just remashing together what we've already known for centuries.
Yeah, look, everything is a remix, but that doesn't mean that people don't build creatively upon what pre-existed. And AI doesn't build creatively, it just reiterates.
Well, the whole idea is for AI to help you get to the I would get you to now, and not a write me a program like that application. It's gonna give me a template, but it will take me to go in on my own and add my own out to it. And a lot of people will not do that. Unfortunately, I feel like people who are not critical English that they are gonna get them with AI.
Yeah, I mean, look at the stories that we saw with the idiots that followed like Apple Maps and drove into the like middle of nowhere. I saw a story a couple days ago about somebody who uh had like went to go pick up her son or a friend or something, and she accidentally drove from like France to Romania or something crazy like that, because she just kept following the the instructions and didn't stop to like think about the fact that she had driven through like 3 countries when it was supposed to be a 3-hour drive, and she'd been driving for 3 days or something crazy. So yeah, if you're that dumb and
You
you're
get
not
what
gonna
you
ever have the
deserve.
thought like, oh yeah, maybe I should double check this and look at a real map. Yeah, you kind of get what you deserve. And you're gonna end up being the stupid people that get left behind. And maybe our
Um,
society as a whole would benefit from some stupid people being left behind.
I would agree.
I mean, my, my point I get make is like it won't make everybody positive with the people who are already intelligent. AI is gonna make those people more dumb.
Yeah. Well,
And,
sorry.
and, and it's gonna motivate people who already have that creative mind and because they're gonna want to know how the AI works, how I, how can I build my own AI. Um, uh, that help. That help. Not because if AI wasn't in, I would never have looked into coding or programming. Now, I don't use AI at all, barely when I program. However, it has encouraged me to learn how to program code well on my own because now that I know that a lot that people are gonna learn how to build their own AI. But yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I think about a lot is that we live in this period of time with so much excess and so much ease that historically you would have seen a lot of people that survive now just not survive and be taken out by anything from disease to sheer stupidity. We joke, and I don't know if this is still a thing that people think about much, but there was the whole like Darwin Awards thing at one point that people used to talk about all the time.
It's still used all the time by Brandon Herrera every
Okay.
couple weeks.
So but like so many people used to not survive to adulthood for so many different reasons, and we now have this huge wealth of people. And this is one of the things again that I think about with all these like toxic political ideologies and stuff is that we have so many people that are not actually capable of adding to society or benefiting, and so they get
autistic from the immunizations and food that they eat.
Well, I'm on the autism spectrum. I seem to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't matter whether you're doing pretty good. If the government has done this to you, then it's a problem.
But I'm alive and I didn't get polio.
Yeah, and listen, if not for the government,
like
if not for all these systems, none of these people would have survived anyways. Like, let's be honest. The reason people had 15 kids back in the day is because they needed like whatever the 80% of society worked on in agriculture, because you needed because half your kids would die as infants, and then you need the rest of them to be your free labor on your farm.
Well, unless you're my uncle's sister, my aunt's husband. He lost 3 siblings. He was one of 4, and 3 of them died in tractor accidents or farming equipment accidents.
Well, my grandson almost died from immunization, so there's that. Like I said.
Yeah, look, I wasn't. If you want to talk about immunizations, I'll hide myself, and you can have the floor. Have at it. But the point that I was making is that regardless of the reasons, we have a lot of people who, okay, maybe fluoride in the water costs them 5 IQ points, and they're obsessed with dinosaurs and can't communicate effectively and slap their heart and wave at the crowd because they got a vaccine or whatever, then they didn't die from polio instead. But the reality is that there's a lot less pressures on people to need to survive, to need to accomplish to survive in today's day and age. And there used to be. It's a lot easier than it used to be. And so, people have accepted the ease with which we live in at this point. And they think that that's the way things should be and that they will always be. And I hate to break it to them, but that's not the way things are meant to be. And they're not the way things are going to be forever. And so unless people learn to be and become more resilient, nothing's going to change. And so, people can rage against whatever their pet peeve problem is, but realistically, all of these technologies that we have are going to phase out the useless people we don't need. I mean, look at how much I keep saying, like in a lot of ways, the federal government is work programmed for people with overeducated in useless things that don't actually accomplish anything. And so the federal government pays them to be a middle manager to, do F all and do DEI or whatever. And,
it's
ultimately
a useless job.
We don't need HR. We don't need any of that. Hey, Shelly, we don't need any of that stuff. Especially if we can replace it with AI, especially if we can replace it with systems that can do, the paperwork of the hiring process without needing to, have 6 people to do the job that one person can do with the help of a piece of software and can do it better.
It starts there. That's where it starts. And then eventually you don't even have a job because you as a doctor will not be able to do it as good as a computer can. And so they'll just take the computer and the computer will do it all and you won't have a job. So when you talk about whether it's a useless job or not, remember, everybody's job is important in one way or another. I don't care if it's going to 7-Eleven and getting your favorite pop, it's what you want. And if somebody ain't there to sell it to you, you can't get it. So it's the same way regarding a doctor's position. I mean, eventually, if something else can do it better, then you're not going to be needed.
Oh, I've been the first person to tell people in the healthcare community that I've been the first person to tell people in the healthcare system and community that if you don't learn to shift from doing diagnostics to actually listening to people and taking care of them and learning to talk to people, that you're going to be useless. Because, humans are still going to want other humans, but they're not going to want worse diagnostics. And so, yeah, AI and computer software and whatnot is definitely going to modulate what we do. But it can be used to make you better as a clinician if you don't rely on it and you don't become just a mouthpiece for it. So, yeah, you without medical knowledge, you could probably walk in and put into some AI system, here's 6 different things, but and it's going to give you the best answer, but you're not going to necessarily understand. And so, fine, whatever. My job may go away. A lot of other jobs may go away or change significantly, but you have to be a critical thinker who can change with those times. And if you're rigid in your perspectives on life, if you can't shift, if you can't change, then you're going to fall behind, and that's what's going to happen.
Well, I'm under the understanding that if you don't fight for something, you'll fall for anything. And right now, I believe that we need to fight for the human race. I think we are literally going to see it's going to decline dramatically. And with everything they have against us, our populations will go down.
We're doing that on our own, though. Like, you're gonna.
We
there's
are.
gonna come a
Wait. How are we doing that on our own? By not having kids? How come we're not having kids?
We don't.
Abortion, right?
No, but forget all of the things that you're gonna say about the microplastics and the vaccines and the this and the that. None of that matters when culturally and society.
Forget the facts.
No,
don't think about the facts.
No, because those are a minor portion in the issue that culturally we have thrown away humanity. Forget all that stuff. If that's a 1%, if a vaccine did 1%, and if a food source did 2%, what's doing the 90% of ruining our birth rates is the fact that young men and young women don't have sex. They don't see each other. Most men are virgins until they're 30. Why is that? Because it's not because people got vaccinated, Gutter.
No, but I do have a really good question.
Or vaccine had anything to do with the fact that the sexual drive has gone down in most people. You don't think that has anything to do with it?
It's not about sexual drive. Women are having just as much sex as they used to. Men are not having sex. Not because men don't want to have sex. Not because men aren't interested, but because our society shifted.
I don't believe that's true. That's true.
It taught our boys self-control, though. I mean,
it taught our kids. I'm telling you that none of my kids have the sex drive that I have or had.
we all need to clap for AV real quick.
Okay, I do have a question, though. So, given that the whole complaint is the vaccines, the food, the everything, what are we doing in our communities to make it different?
Well, we're starting with not taking it. Start there. The other thing is they're going to start holding these vaccine companies accountable. That's what I believe the next move is for RFK. I think he's going to hold them accountable. And when he does, I think that's going to be a big dip. Remember, the whole reason that they wanted to stop being sued, they said, if you don't stop suing us for the harm that we're causing to these children, then we're going to stop making vaccines. So they went, we got to give the vaccine companies immunity. And now here we sit.
But that's not what I asked. I asked, what are we doing in our communities to prevent this, to stop this?
Well,
not in the national level. RFK is a federal politician. As soon as he's out of office, some other jackass is going to come in and change it.
That's true.
What are we doing on our levels?
Well, and this is why I keep saying it's not about, like, yes, these small little bits of things that you're bringing up matter, but the real core of the issue is that our culture is broken, that men and women don't meet, that women are going on to internet dating sites when they see themselves as the hottest, and they're going for the football player or the basketball player, or the dude that they couldn't achieve, because it used to be that you had to meet in person at the bar, and so the hottest guy at the bar hooked up with the hottest woman at the bar, and they didn't use a condom, and suddenly they had a baby and people got married. Like, the rates of people having sex before marriage weren't like super low in the past.
Well, for
People
starters,
just actually
everybody's
got
gotta get
married.
out from in front of the computer, and they got to go to these places to meet people. They can't. You ain't gonna meet. I mean, you can meet people online, but you also might meet something you really didn't want. And for me, I couldn't even imagine doing it online. I wouldn't even try that.
Well, okay, let's
Well,
take
but
into
you can-
consideration people like me who are bedbound because of a car accident.
Well,
What, I
look-
should just not have a love life?
Forget even that, Crazy B,
Well,
and Gigi. It's not even just that. Cowboy, I'll stop in a second and let you talk. But even if you do go out in person now, people have been retrained by multiple generations of this culture of staying away from other people, and of society being dangerous, and of bars being dangerous, and people are going to drug you and all this kind of stuff, that people don't want to interact. You're looked at as odd. People look when you go to the supermarket next. People
And you
walk
talk to
around
them.
with headphones in. They act like you're bizarre. They people don't say good morning to each other. People
Mhm.
are not aligned with the idea that social interaction exists outside of predetermined social safe groups.
So to answer your question, Crazy B, I believe that if you did not have the internet, you would go out, and even bedbound, you'd get in a wheelchair, you would find ways. I took care of people for 25 years in the healthcare system. So I think
Well,
you would find other ways to get out. And
except I can't, because my back spasms make it to where I can't even stand upright for 10 minutes or sit for 10 minutes. I'm in a reclined position in my bed with a microphone in front of me and a computer desk over the foot of my bed so I can see the monitors.
that sucks. And I'm very sorry for that. But that's not the majority of the people. That's not what the whole, the
I'm
conversation
just
isn't about
pointing out. Well,
Right,
but
I
the
get
thing is that there are people that if you don't make it of the internet has saved me from literally going batshit crazy, having
can see
friends to talk to.
Mhm.
Okay, and again, yes, I am an odd case, and thank God for this thing called dry needling, because my back's actually starting to loosen up to where the spasms aren't so bad. But we're not. Again, we're sitting here and generalizing, but there's going to be people who are going to be miserable if we just cut out the internet completely. And I
Right.
guess that's more of the concern, is the way everyone's talking is just, oh, no internet's needed, no internet needed. But here's the thing. Even if you don't have internet, people would be sitting home if they can't get out. They'd be stuck in bed and they would have nothing to do other than read books and no one to talk to. And that does take a toll on the psyche. As working in medicine, you know that. I've worked in medicine. I literally did geriatrics for as long as I could before my car accident. Okay, I literally specialized in geriatric home health care. I have climbed in beds that were soiled in human waste because a patient had bed sores and her son was impaired and didn't know how to take care of her. I most certainly get it. I miss it. But I've also seen the damage to these elderly people and the level of depression they go through because they don't know how to use the internet. They can't get out and socialize, and they're stuck not even being able to read books because they can't see anymore.
Well, here, look.
So it sucks for everyone.
It's Cowboy's turn to talk, but like I did the
Yeah,
jujitsu
sorry.
for a while, and there were some nice dudes at the jujitsu, but none of it created any friendships. The second I stopped going, never heard from them again, other than the coach who wanted me to come back so I would start paying again.
Yeah.
The reality is, even in non-romantic settings, even in same-sex groups that are focused on other things, people are not really looking or open to social interaction in the way that
Mhm.
people used to be. But here
And
it's
we need to
Cowboys
be.
time.
Okay, go ahead, Cowboy.
Alright, I'm the oh. Ah, look, there needs to be a balance of all this. I agree with both of y'all that the internet is way, yeah, it is helpful. The problem is not not the internet. The internet is quite us. The problem is our cultural our cultural
Sorry, I had to clap.
cultural value, because now every 4-year-old got a damn tablet. Every 2-year-old got a damn iPhone. Okay, now think about that for a whole minute. Take out the E, take out the internet, and let it think about the 2-year-old with the iPhone. What the fuck is the problem there? Elon,
The thing I have an issue with when it comes to toddlers having these iPhones is that it lowers their attention span. I did not give my kids cell phones until they were able to help pay for the bill, just like how
well,
my parents did with me. And I
well,
think that it's lazy parenting that led to toddlers and young kids having cell phones.
well, e- I, but the point I am making is we live in an idea that people don't take time to grow their influence in what their community. Now, I am a cripple at whiteboard, okay? However, I am very active. I used to play football on the concrete in 80-degree weather. Okay, uh, anyway, we need to quit protecting everyone and everything. And let the people. Sometimes you gotta let dumb people die. Like, that's the only way that we are going to do. Like, like, uh, Oreo, like, look at the aircraft industry. We have gotten so comfortable that airplanes are crashing when they don't need to be crashed. I now I'm not talking about the Black Hawk incident. I'm talking about the other 5 airplane crashes we had on the back few years, and a lot of that is people, and yeah, I mean, back in the days, we had the math to navigate. Now, it's all innovative, but we can not a problem. We can have that narrative, but
You went robotic there.
know how to do it without the comfort that we got now. And that way we are failing because we're thinking one way or the other, and it needs to be both ways. Oh, yeah.
Well, look, I think what AV said is exactly right. You know, what we're discussing is the effects of digital age creating solipsism. And, you know, in my mind, you know, he's not wrong. Having conversations like this, but actually taking it into the real world and making real change. Like, look, I've tried in the place I live in to, you know, create human connection and things like that. And it's failed horribly. And so that's part of what's driving me to leave where I live, you know, once I'm capable, and, you know, either find a place where there are people that are more open to having real life connections, or to start the long, you know, arduous process of creating that. And to me, I think in a lot of ways, if I have to create that for myself, it's not going to be an overnight thing that will happen. It'll start, you know, one person, one group, one individual, you know, connection at a time, and it will come eventually. But you know, and I'll leave a better society for the people that I leave it for. I always say, like, look, even if I don't ever have kids or, you know, anything that like of my own, at least I will create something for people like me that, you know, don't have to struggle for this themselves. And I joke around about, you know, buying some land and making a cult or whatever. And, you know, I can call it silly things like that, but really that's what I'm speaking towards, is what Crazy Bee means about, like, doing something to really change things in real life, and not just, you know, sit there on the internet and, you know, just cry about it or whatever.
Right.
Well, that, that couple months, I had acquired an interest in math. So I've been doing a lot of math homework for no reason. But I realized that.
Yeah. I mean, look, what AVC is, according to attachment theory, forming meaningful social bonds with others is a fundamental biological drive essential for critical survival and psychological well-being. This comes into the Maslow hierarchy of needs, which I can pull up quickly. Let me just get a
Mhm.
tab open of it.
Psychology 101.
But and people can seek this stuff on the internet just like they can in the real world. But the real change people have to make is to take this from the internet, use the lessons that you learn and the things that you share, and bring it to the real world and keep it in the real world. And there are a lot of people who, when you go through the hierarchy of needs, are struggling so deeply with the basic needs that they can't reach the level of self-actualization and having self-esteem. And so, if we're not going to provide fellow citizens and other people the ability to do that, what are we actually accomplishing?
Not much if we don't put forth an effort on our personal levels in our communities. And that's something you hear me talk about on my podcast all the time, is start in your communities. Start making your community safer. Start making your home safer. The only way we're going to actually have a long-term cultural change is if we start on the lowest level and don't expect politicians to fix it for us.
At the very least, go meet your neighbors. Go know who your neighbors are. Go know what, understand what they face every day. Know if you can help.
Actually, one of the things I used to do when I lived just one block out of Detroit, and I want to get back to, if I can get my back functioning again, I used to garden. And a couple other houses on our block gardened as well. And we would take our extra tomatoes or extra cucumbers, whatever the other people weren't growing, and we would swap with them. And we would also give to other people just down the road. We wouldn't say anything. We would just leave a grocery bag of vegetables on their porch.
Wow. Cool.
And this is, again, a very mixed community. There were Arabic people, there were Indian people, there were blacks, there were whites. You got to start on your very own community before you can start making any major changes in the world.
And I agree. You'll feel it more in your own community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's easier to do in a smaller community than when you're talking about a big city.
I know.
If I went and put vegetables on my neighbors, I can on my next door neighbors because I help take care of them, and my neighbors across the street, did when they were there. But if I did it with them, that'd be one thing. But if I did it with the neighbors down the street, I'm sure they'd give me about 40 different looks, and they'd probably just throw the vegetables away, worried about what I did to them. So I wouldn't even attempt to do something like that. And think in a small town where, like what I grew up in, I think that's perfectly normal. But when you're talking about a big area like this, I think you just got to pretty much I got to tell you that I tried to interact with my neighbors, and where it landed me was in court. He beat me. Can you go to court for me? No, I don't want to go to court because
y'all need to get further out in the country.
No.
Further out in the country.
Well, this is why I was saying in the chat and saying to Blunt Man, but this is why my long-term goal, and I'm working towards it, is get the heck out of a city.
Yeah.
And get far away from it. I don't think we were meant to live on top of each other like this.
We were.
And what you're going to see is, look, with the, positives from AI taking away a lot of this stuff that needs to be in cities, that we need to be all on top of each other, you might see that people start being more self-sufficient, moving out of cities, and a lot of this changing significantly.
That's what I did. I got the hell out of Detroit, and I moved to the middle of nowhere, Kentucky.
Yeah, I just give them a bed mate. Let's start there.
Yeah, look, I have neighbors. You guys heard me when I was on stream and forgot I was on stream, and I was yelling at the guy that I live next door to, that with the dog and everything. And then I have other neighbors that are across the street that love my dog, and they are constantly coming over and feeding him leftovers with their nephew or grandsons when they're visiting. And when I wasn't home, they clean my walkway from the snow for me. So I went and salted their walkway.
That's what communities
this
always
is what it's about. And if you can't find that in the community you live in, you either find a new community or build a new community.
See, Buttman said, Gigi's cucumbers smell funny. I pickled them myself, Buttman.
Well,
I don't want to know what you use to pickle them, okay? God.
Oh my God, I'm dying. You just hurt my back. Oh my God.
Well, at least we're useful for something,
We need a dry needle stat for her. Damn it. I do want to know about this dry needle stuff because it sounds like it's natural. So
Okay,
at
it's
some
like a
point-
TENS unit. They do acupuncture,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they hook up TENS units leads to it. And it's like a very deep TENS unit. And oh my
Ow.
God, it puts me to sleep.
That's great.
Yeah,
They're finding something that'll even touch it.
Well,
Is awesome.
6 years. I've been in pain, in and out of physical therapy, on a fudge ton of different drugs, and all they needed to do was shove electrified needles in my back.
Oh, that sounds.
You should talk to them if that's working. I don't know if you've ever looked into it, but I've heard a lot of good things from people about having implanted electrostimulators. I mean,
That's what we were going to be going. That's why we're trying this, is because it might be a solution instead of me having to go for surgery.
nice. Yeah, that's usually
Remote.
yeah, it comes with like a little remote and you turn it
Yep.
on and you have to charge it and everything. But
Oh boy.
I've had a lot of patients that I've seen that have had a lot of benefit from
My ex-mother-in-law, when she was alive, tried it. It didn't work for her, but then again, I saw her CT scan where her spine was actually twisting sideways. So, yeah. Oh my God, a pH test. Oh my God, blunt me on.
well, Dr. Bluntman here.
Y'all are killing me today.
Oh my
Y'all
god.
are killing me.
Look, it's not my fault that her
love
cucumbers come out as pickles.
Well, I'd ask Marvin, but I'm afraid he'd never come on and explain anything to us ever again if I did.
Oh my God.
We don't need to care about Mars pickles, all right?
The fact you pluralize that is a little alarming.
Look, I don't ask them what goes on, okay? That's their business,
don't
all right?
wanna know.
I just want
Don't
to
ask, don't tell.
know which airplanes I'm not supposed to get on.
Boeing. Stay away from Boeing. Their doors
Any.
fall
No,
off.
no, no, no. Any.
Right now,
They're falling out of the sky. None. Don't get on none.
if you ain't doing the one wing flapping, just stay on the ground, okay?
Well, you know, it's crazy. I have a friend who's a pilot, and he's like, "You really should at least try flying." I'm like, "God did not provide me with wings, and I don't think the TSA is going to let me bring my own parachute. So
Exactly.
I'm not getting in a plane." And this was me before all of these accidents. I've had a fear of heights. Well, actually, I know exactly what it was. I fell 20 feet out of a tree and landed into poison ivy. And since then, I have been terrified of heights. That was at the age of 12. I was young and stupid. But I won't get in a plane or a helicopter of any kind because I can swim. I can walk. I can do all kinds of things as an alternative means of transportation if my car breaks down or the boat sinks or the train breaks down. I can find another way from there. I can ride a damn horse if I mean, this is again if I'm out and about. I do know these things. But
stealing somebody's horse. I have to get home.
That's the thing is I can do all these things, but when it comes to a plane, I can't fly. Plain and simple. I cannot fly, and I guarantee TSA is not allowing me to bring my own parachute.
Yeah, I
even
saw
as a
some video.
carry-on.
I saw some video of some guy that I guess it was as a joke, but he was trying to bring a parachute as a carry-on.
They don't allow it.
They were not happy with him.
Exactly. So my happy ass is staying on the ground, or at least within reasonable distance of the ground, because I don't have an alternative if something goes wrong. I like having alternatives. I guess I'm an overthinker, whatever. I'm not getting on a plane, period.
Read Blunt's comment.
Just don't try and sue Trojan, then we'll all come out in court.
Oh my god. Oh my
Yeah,
I
god.
wondered
that's
what
what
those
that-
burns were on the tip of it.
I'd like to see
It's a
Discovery on
latex
that. Case.
allergy.
Oh,
A W.
oh,
Good
oh,
morning, LW.
oh, I'm not like, uh, yeah, a guy on YouTube called Being Independent. And when, like, the part of being making a difference in the community is what can you do that will help out the world in any way? And if you can you capitalize on that and turn it into something more? And I encourage you to quit thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a producer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, look, this is part of why I want to own some of my own land, is because instead of being reliant on, the supermarket, I want to be able to grow my own food. I don't want to be a pure consumer, even if there are things you can't necessarily produce on your own. I'd much rather work less, but have to put more effort in on, my own things to have what I have now, or even a little less. Because I'm not interested in the material stuff. I'm interested in I'm interested in eating food that I grew myself. I'm interested in having neighbors that, I know and rely on, that rely on me, that we have things in common. And not just being connected to people because like we hate the other side politically or whatever. These are the things that like you were saying, be a creator. Don't be a consumer. Don't just walk blindly through life and accept everything as is.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to teach my daughter to do, but she's a little bit stuck in her ways, but she's only 19, so time will tell. But like I say, my son, he's willing to get his hands dirty with making his own food and stuff and doing stuff like that. My daughter, not so much. But I think we need to also encourage our kids to start doing that stuff. Not go full Amish, but they do have better lifestyle. I wouldn't say happier lives, but they do have healthier lives to a degree.
Well,
They're pretty good at building things.
Yeah.
well, about it is what can you make? Like, can you make a program? Can you make a blanket? What are you interested in? And then dive into that more. Like,
Well, no, but you're still looking at it from the perspective of, like you said, you can create a program or whatever. I understand that technology is important to us, but I'm interested in earning or obtaining enough funds to go buy, a bunch of acres, and then I will, till the land and grow some food. Like I've done a lot of research into aquaponics, not for drug purposes, into, being more self-sufficient in growing your own food and things like that, so that you're not reliant. Like you can do a lot of things on your own. You can, not have to eat things out of tin cans or
store.
plastic
Yep.
line that came from.
So, I get that. I get that. And
That's where smaller communities will come in handy.
Well, that's
And so
like
that's
my family. We've got 10 acres of land. We're about to get a tractor out of a bunch of people. We're combining the family's tax returns
Mhm.
to get a tractor and a bush hog so we can clear up the family land of 10 acres and put in a 1-acre garden.
well, and like all of it, and you bought land, and you're growing of cannons and Bitcoin, and you really get into that, and you really getting, because you are not gonna move out if it automatically be the perfect owner. I mean, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take practice. And it only use the program and
Well, Cowboy, you have to remember, I have a pretty well respected and paying career that I can take anywhere. That maybe I'm wrong about this and Gutter's right, and in 3 years it'll be gone. But I think I have another 15 years that I can be working, and if between now and then I can, be self-sufficient and save up enough money that I have those means, I'm sure along the way I can pick up skills that are important to being able to maintain that lifestyle.
I can
And,
teach you.
I know people, I know somebody that's a diesel mechanic, and I know somebody that has, kind of like Crazy Bee is saying, kind of random skills and stuff. And I know people that would probably very much want to live on a, I don't want to call it a cult. I should stop making that joke, but on some sort of, build a community and whatnot, and put in actual effort and get something out of it. And so that's why I say, I'm not in a position where I need to figure out a way to be able to earn a living in the next 5 years. I'm in a position where I want to build what I will retire with, and maybe I can do that by time I'm in my, 50s as opposed to in my 80s.
Yep. That's
And
what my
that's-
dad did. My dad worked his whole life to get 22 acres of land in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, where he can farm, hunt, whatever the hell he pleases on his own land without regulation.
Yeah, no, Blunt Man's going to be our pharmacist.
Okay, well, I can work with that. We can start our own little commune. How's that work?
Yeah, works for
It'll
me.
be a little like what was the movie? What was the movie? The RV, the dude, the math. What's the name of the movie?
Breaking Bad?
Thank you.
That's a TV
Oh,
series.
yeah, I was thinking
we'll
more
get him
like
an RV to live in.
I was thinking more like we're gonna be like The Hills Have Eyes, especially
Oh,
when
yes!
there's around, with all
I like that
all that
one.
filmmaking ability.
Good for
Hey, I'm
you,
in the
Andy.
foothills of the mountains over here in Kentucky. Well, you got 10 acres we could have fun on.
Andy retired at 58. Right
Oh,
on,
yeah.
Andy.
Well, I don't have any acres, but I'm pretty high in the mountains.
I when I working my plan is to buy property and because I want to have land and have horses and all that and cars. So,
I think people are getting back to that, wanting to have that dream of the lifestyle of retiring out in the country and having a farm and grandkids running around instead of
Mhm.
living in the city. More people are starting to see it.
well,
Well,
Look,
it
I
does
wouldn't.
kind of make me think of California and how they went and fucked that state up. So now they're like, oh, I don't like that. I want to go to the country.
And then they're
screwed
going
the
to fuck
city
that
up.
up too.
Exactly.
We had a
That's what I worry
conversation
about.
that. We had a
Mhm.
conversation about that. You know, it looks really like what determines the Democrats from the Republicans is Democrats are scooped up in cities and don't own land. And so they don't pay the land taxes and the property taxes and the business taxes and all that we pay,
Yep.
you know, in middle America where our land is spread out. We have to work our own land. We own it. We fight for it. It's important to us.
We
Well,
know what we want and we're going to defend it with our lives.
I mean, to be fair, I never lived, I mean, I have lived out in the country, but I worked out in the country my whole life, and I've been wanting that life since I was a teenager. So it, yeah.
Yep. But that's why I say, like, what Army would point out. That's why, my goal. This is not a short term goal. This is I'm going to earn this, and I'll get there hopefully, in the next 15, 20 years, as opposed to I'm going to do this overnight and like I expect this to be capable tomorrow. I mean, and I totally get what you were getting at, Cowboy. Like if I knew a young person today, I would not tell them they should go into medicine or whatever. I would tell them they should do something where they're going to learn some actual physical skills that transfer with them, that can take them, that they can take with them wherever they go, that can lead them towards having something in the future and not just being a wage slave to the elite.
Well, and that's another problem with society, and I'm going to point this out, is too many people expect things without having to really work for it, but you appreciate so much more when you bust your ass for it. I will say that because I've worked in fields. I've talked about this on my podcast. I've worked alongside my migrant workers digging rocks out of a field. I have shoveled horse crap. I have worked on a cow dairy farm milking cows. I have no problem doing back-breaking labor if I could actually get up and do it, but not enough people appreciate the hard work. Because they've never actually done it. And I think more of society needs to get out there, get their hands dirty, and then they appreciate that paycheck a lot more, and they don't spend it on stupid stuff, and they start focusing on a longer future. And they're not just waiting for the next thing to be handed to them.
Well,
And it bugs me when I see society going this way.
well, it's kind of like caregiver only get paid $8 hours, and they're complaining about that. And what the other is you're a caregiver. Yeah, I mean, hey, you want to get paid $18 an hour. to do household work. Like, I don't get that.
Well, housekeepers who clean a house for a family can make upwards of what? It's like $100 per house. Now I understand the caregiver perspective, and again, it depends on how complex the patient situation is. Um, but like if your insurance is paying it, they get paid a lot better. If it's well, unless it's through Medicaid. I take that back. Medicaid pays them shit on the dollar for what they do. I've had to help patients get set up for this before.
Thank you, government.
Yeah, seriously, it's a disaster what some of these people get paid, and some of them are. I mean, okay, they don't pay you by the hour when you get your caregiver through the state. Like if it's through the Medicaid office, they pay you 25 cents for a load of laundry. They pay you 15 cents for a load of dishes. That's what most people don't know. When it comes to the caregivers, especially through Medicaid, you don't get paid by the hour. You get paid by the tasks that you're doing in the home.
Okay, I get that, but this is a Orby. You went to COVID, right?
I worked through COVID.
No, you went to college.
Yes, I went to college. Sorry.
You went through 8 years of paid where you get paid. Oh, why would I become a doctor if we're gonna pay the caregiver the same amount of money?
I mean, you mean in the future? Or you mean now? I mean, the only reason I can see that somebody should become a doctor is because they want the prestige of it. But again, like we were talking about with the AI stuff, I think a lot of the roles that doctors take on is going to disappear, and it's going to be replaced by, like, you're still going to need nurses. Nurses do the actual, like, patient care.
But thing is, people want to get paid a high amount or not career, but a part-time job.
Well, it's not always part-time unless they only have one client. Some of these caregivers are juggling 3 or 4 patients that they take care of.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably not her. I mean, unless she says otherwise, I would assume you're not the only person she's taking care of.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making is it is fair to pay the doctor the same amount as the RNs.
No, it's not fair. And
The doctor had to pay for training and need to do the homework. Yeah.
And I get where you're coming from because this has been an never-ending debate in the medical field probably since the beginning of medicine. RNs always complain they don't get paid. They do more work than the doctor, but the doctor's the one taking the weight of the liability and the medical malpractice, not the nurse, unless she really screws it up. So I get what you're saying, and no, they should not be doing. Again, it's people have this inflated ego about how important they are. And I do feel caregivers should be getting paid more. I more than more than a few cents per chore. Okay, I will say that because I've helped with that. When my mom was a caregiver for my stepfather's mother. And so I do get where they deserve more pay for what they do, but they're also uneducated. So they shouldn't be making $15, $20 an hour. Maybe 10 an hour is a balance. But they still, I mean, let's say it only takes an hour to take care of what you need. And then she's got to go to the next patient and work for an hour. And by the end of the day, she can only see like 5 patients. So she gets $50 a day, even at $10 an hour.
Well,
That's not enough to live on.
I think what you're going to see happen with the like artificial intelligence stuff is it gets rid of medical providers because other people can do because the AI can do the diagnosis. Because really what you're paying for is you're paying for the medical knowledge. You're paying for the ability for the person to do a diagnosis, come up with a treatment plan, prescribe you medication. Yeah, sure, fine, liability, whatever. But that's really what you're paying for, and that's what somebody goes to school for all that time for. So,
Yeah.
you know, what's going to end up happening, I think, is as you no longer need the doctors, and as, you know, things like AI and computer will take over that portion, you'll see the people that are doing the actual like work get paid more.
Right. I get the point that I'm making is like we have an entitlement problem in our country. Like, people have a high expectations to go work at Dairy Queen and be able to provide like they are having a successful career. Yeah, I'm not hating on unskilled labor. The point I'm making, people want to get paid like $1 an hour to work at Walmart, but they don't want to apply themselves to get people want to get a high paying. People want a high paying job, but they're not willing to do what it takes or a high paying job.
Well, honestly, though, again, they're doing everybody needs a janitor, but they shouldn't be making more than the college educated, but they should also be making a livable wage to a degree. Okay, let's say, like I said, like I pointed out before, give them $10 an hour. Yeah, they got to work more for it, but they're also not getting off scot-free either. And I think that's, again, one of the biggest problems when it comes to the medical field is, especially in the medical field, everybody thinks they're more important than anybody else. I've seen it so many times. And I will still hold to that. I think we need to do better than what the insurance companies are offering these people who are getting paid to do caregiving. They are literally getting, it's bullshit. It's more like slave labor in those cases.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, and I do think people do need to get fair wages. But again, if they all quit, and let's say every caregiver decides to quit and go get a degree, who's going to be around to take care of people?
That's a good point.
This is why I say we need to make it at least beneficial for them to keep doing the job, especially because a lot of caregivers are retired moms whose kids have left and are off doing whatever they're doing, and they're doing it to make extra money or to cover for some bills.
Well, yeah, the issue there isn't really an answer. Not anyone would be able to come in and take care of the humans. But there needs to be more guidelines and requirements. And,
Well, look, part of the problem is that the people that run a lot of these industries, like even if you go look at the insurance industry, other than the money people, it's the doctors. And so you're looking at pharmaceutical companies, money people, and doctors running this stuff. And so there's nobody. I mean, I think I'm unique in, maybe I'm just pumping up my own ego, but I think in a lot of ways I'm unique in that world, in that I think about people a lot more than a lot of these providers do. And, you know, I've known too many providers that are just trying to, you know, that really, they'll tell you all the things about how they're wonderful people and about how, you know, they're doing, you know, the good work or whatever. But really, they're just trying to make a bag, and they like the status of being a doctor. And, you know, so ultimately, I think that there's a lot of people that when it comes down to it, you know, will say the right things when they're in public, but realistically, I mean, this is what I was saying one day, you know, when I was talking to AV, and I was saying that I think there's a lot of people that come from like inner cities and stuff, you know, obviously not everybody, but that, you know, they get out because of whatever reason and they don't go back. I've known a lot of medical professionals that came from those situations, and then they move to the suburbs and they live in upper middle class, and, you know, they don't go back, and they might volunteer occasionally because they, you know, do it for work or whatever, but they, you know, are primarily, you know, living like every other upper middle class, whatever, you know, background people, and they don't want to be part of that world. They don't want to help people. They just want to, you know, gain the positive things they get out of being in the elite class in society. I mean, that's what college was for a long time, and, you know, people cheapened it so much, but college for a long time wasn't really about, you know, necessarily the education you got, but it was about giving you a pathway to the upper class of society. This is why people care about sending their kids to Yale and Harvard and, you know, all these other schools, because it doesn't even necessarily mean they're getting a great education. All it really means is that they're being given a, you know, golden key to the upper class of American society.
Well, and the other problem, like I've worked with providers that they weren't smart when they were younger and making the money. And so I'm with a 70-plus-year-old doctor, and he's trying to see 14, 15 patients a day, and we have to drive to them, all because he didn't think to put money aside when he was younger, and now he can't afford to live his lifestyle anymore.
Well, that's a big part of it. You know, people take on these lifestyles they think they need to because of what society dictates their lifestyle should be as somebody in that position.
But then it also impacts patient care, because they're just trying to run in and out like they're in an office, but this isn't an office. You can't do that and give them proper care.
Mm-hmm.
And I always complained about it. I'm like, look, it's not this patient's fault you chose to have a very ridiculous lifestyle and now you can't afford it. And they literally work themselves to the grave. They
Mhm.
do, because they can't seem to get they couldn't get their life in control when they were younger. And it's, again, I see where it's a combination of society, spoiled parenting, but I've also known doctors who, like this one doctor I know, um he was a podiatrist, really awesome, amazing doctor. I won't blast his name or anything like that just because I'm going to be nice. But he was a great doctor. I think he's still practicing, but he gave up his clinic. He owned his own clinic for podiatry to take care of his mother and his sister. Um, after they passed away, he just kept doing in-home healthcare with us because he got to spend more time with his family. He'd only see 10 patients a day, and that was fine with him. And he would be great because he could get through it, do his job right, because he was still in his, 50s, 60s? So he could pull it off without a problem. But when you're 70, 80 years old and you're still trying to do this, it's not okay. It's a part-time job. The one doctor, the podiatrist, his wife worked, and his kids, even though adults, still lived with him and worked with it, helped pitch in on the bills as well.
Mhm.
So again, he had a family all working together to pay for things, but he also chose to give the quality of care that was needed over the amount of patients in a day. And I will always respect him. And if I lived in Michigan, I'd have him as my podiatrist because he was so good at it. And I hate to see where the medical field has gone, because we're told we need to have this materialistic lifestyle, but no good means to pay for it, because the insurance companies are now dictating how much you get paid for what you've done. And I've seen what Medicaid does. Like I said, I know you guys know, but the people in the audience may not. I did billing and coding for the office when I was working. I've seen Medicaid pay us $15 for an entire home visit that was worth easily 70, and they told us to go after the patient for the difference.
Mhm.
It's not right, and it's not okay in any means. And that's why I keep saying the regulations from these politicians are the problem.
Yeah. Oh.
Look, I think we're in a time where we're going to see a lot of change, and a lot of these issues are going to either be solved or they're going to, not be solved. And it's going to come down to the people that are involved to make a decision to actually make change. And I think that you're going to look back and, you pick your, thing you want to fight for. And you know now, you're at the age, when you're in your 20s and 30s, where you can make those decisions and really commit to something. And you'll look back and you'll see, look, there were some things I made better and some things I made worse and some things I built and some things that didn't. But I think we're living in a time of change where, the things that we grew up with, those of us that are millennials and up, as givens, as, this is the way society is, I think we'll look back and they're not going to be the way society is when we're old. Because there's a lot that is changing, and I've said this before, but history often goes on for long periods where nothing changes for years and then everything changes in minutes. And I think we're in a position where we're going to see just a heck of a lot of change in a very short period of time, and society is going to realign itself.
Well, that's
And
kind of like what I was saying yesterday on my podcast. That's why everybody's freaking out, is because of all these changes so quickly. They're not prepared.
But if we stay true to the fact that, human beings and human nature, and, that's what really matters, building communities and families, and society builds off that, even with individual changes to how we interact and how we do things, it's not going to change who we are as people.
Well, what is in multiple um is that um
Well, it's easy. It's easy to see the bad. It's you have
yeah
to train yourself to search for the good.
no is that all people they have the skill but not the characters. People don't realize that character is about it it's um and all people don't have that it eye. Um, yeah.
Well, sometimes people need to stand up so that other people will feel it's okay to.
Yeah.
I see, you see that all the time. It's not just a movie trope, but sometimes, you need a good person to be willing to make the first move. I mean, you see it in all these like idiotic fight videos
Yep.
and, people robbing and stuff. And, sometimes it takes one person to stand up and be like, yo, why are you hitting that woman or whatever? Or why you, trying to walk out of the store with some shit for other people to stand up and be like, you know what? I'm going to do the right thing here. And I'm going to, protect my community and my society.
Well, I think I've told you before, Arby, how I got in trouble because I wouldn't cut corners with the billing and coding, and the boss got mad about it. But I would not cut corners, and sure as shit, like the day after I quit, I had DHS and FBI pounded on my door asking about how the coding process was, and it turns out he had been committing Medicare fraud by sending in billing slips with no patient visit note to go with it.
Mhm.
And again, I won't cut corners, and that is hard to do in a career that's demanding like medicine. When you refuse to cut corners, people are going to push back on you. But to
Mhm.
still stand your ground and refuse to budge, you're setting the example for others, even if they don't realize it. You are setting an example for others. And that's one of the things I've always told my kids. And my daughter was another situation like that, by the way I raised her. There was a fight on her bus one day, and this one girl was just down on the ground getting kicked, and she couldn't stand up to defend herself. So my daughter got between them and started taking the kicks so the girl could catch her breath until a bus aide could come in and do it. If people don't step up and get in the way, society's just going to keep getting kicked. We really have to. All of us, we may not be a lot on our own, but if we all start working together and standing our ground, they ain't got a chance. The people pushing back ain't got a chance.
Mhm. Yep. I mean, look, this is why, like, and I was telling people about the situation that happened in ER the other day when I was working, and this doctor lost his shit at me. I don't know if I'm gonna go work there again. I don't know if I'm all that interested, but I felt like I had to say something, because fine, they know that he's a problem, but if nobody's willing to actually like say anything to the people in charge, then nothing's going to ever change. Even if it doesn't change because I said something, there's gonna come a point where enough people will say something.
Yep.
But hey, I gotta go. It was good talking to y'all.
Yeah.
Good deal alive.
Thanks for joining us.
Young and like it by the golden potato. Oh, you're good.
You be good. Take care of yourself, man.
All right, we'll catch you later. Sorry, I got a quick
All right, no, you're-
message.
You're good. Let me see if I have anything else interesting here to talk about. Oh yeah. Wow, that's interesting, but okay. Yeah, I don't know. I ran through the stuff I wanted to talk about, and
That's good then. I mean, you got through 2 hours and 18 minutes and no one got arrested, blocked, banned, kicked, muted. Well, except me for a moment, but that was okay.
yeah, well, you know,
I call this a successful episode.
can't all be so radical like you know.
Quoting it. Well, then I guess you don't want me to talk about how the Civil War was not actually. No, I won't go there. I won't start that shit on your podcast, but I have no problem doing it on mine.
But yeah, so I did post a couple of articles and like a YouTube video on AI stuff in the description for anybody
Okay.
that's interested. And I know there's some UFC, so I might try and get that working in Discord.
If you can, I will pop in and say hi, because every time I try to get watching it, it's like, doesn't matter whether it's paid for or not, it just keeps crashing on me.
But oh yeah, here. Let me while I'm sitting here, let me give you guys some mod powers. There you go. You're a mod, Gutter. And here, because Bluntman's here, he can be a mod. And Crazy Bee on her questions channel can be a mod. I'm gonna go back into the description also and add in. I don't know if I can trust Brent with being a mod.
I think you can. He's a good guy.
I don't know. He is a Chiefs fan, you know.
Oh, come on. You're not going to be that petty, are you?
Leah's mod powers because she's cheering for the Chiefs these days too. So.
Oh, you can't be that petty. You know you love it. We got to have a degree of pushback.
But yeah, no, I was gonna post people's links in the description. I need to keep a running list, but like post links to people's channels when they come on panels, so somebody has a reference. Because you know sometimes people have different names to their channels that they use than like.
Well, that's why I didn't jump in as Crazy the Game Like a Mom channel. I came in as questions that need answers, because that would have been just way too damn confusing for people. Like, what's this gamer doing talking about all this stuff?
But yeah, let me I'll do it when I get a chance in a little bit. But yeah, thanks for everybody for being here. We'll do this again next Saturday, and I'll come up with a topic. I'm not sure what it'll be, but we'll chat a little bit about something specific, and then you know, hang out. If anybody has any specific suggestions about things that they want to talk about, let me know. Usually best to hit me up through Discord. And you know, y'all enjoy. Have a wonderful week if I don't speak to people. And it was nice to be here.
It was great to be here, and I'll try to pop back in next time you have an open panel.
Thank you. All right. Take care, everybody.